in this video, I'm gonna show you how to make my mom's homemade enchiladas. They are the best thing ever. They're not your typical enchilada, but they are really, really good. So I'm gonna show you how to make it, and I'm gonna tell you what you need. So for just a normal amount, for a normal serving size for 3 to 4 people, you need 1 pound of ground beef. You can double this for however many you want to serve. So you need 1 pound of ground beef for 3 to 4 servings, 8 ounces of sour cream. My store did not have the name brand, so I had to get Great Value. Some green onions, you're not going to use all of these. Some Morton season all, or you can get whatever season all, or you can use taco seasoning. I just prefer season all for this recipe. Shredded cheese, whatever kind you prefer, and then some flour tortillas. I was trying to figure out where my tortillas are. Right here. First thing you're going to do is ground up your ground beef. I'm just using this meat thing from Dollar Tree that I got years ago, and it's held up really well. It helps kind of just break the meat apart. That's why I really use it. My ground beef was frozen when I started, well, slightly frozen when I started, so I'm trying to work the frozen pieces out, and this kind of makes it a little bit easier to do that. Just kind of take the brown part off. And while your ground beef is browning, you're going to put your oven on 350. Meat is already ground up with a little bit of pink still. You go ahead and add your seasonal or taco seasoning. I was just kind of waiting until the frozen pieces kind of went down, and you can just kind of eye it and add however much you want. And go ahead and start chopping up your green onions. I'm going to take green onions. I'm only going to take a few of them. So I'm going to take about, I'm going to do about 3 of them. And I'm just going to save the rest of them for another recipe. And you're going to chop up the thin pieces. Let's just do one at a time. And you want to thinly chop it up because you're going to put it in with your meat. If you don't like the texture of onions, you won't really taste the green onion. It just kind of helps the flavor come together really well. But you want to chop it up small enough to where if you don't like the texture of these onions, you won't have to really notice them once you cook it down. So I'm going to throw that end piece away. I'm just kind of finally chopping it up. I mean, it'll come apart a little bit as you're cooking. And it's just me this week, so these will be for my dinner and some of my lunches. I try to eat it all by Wednesday, because if I cook on Sunday, I don't like it. I've noticed that if I eat it past Wednesday, it's not very good. Which I know probably a lot of y'all don't have that problem of having that many leftovers for that many days. Okay, and then this is the last one. I'm just going to chop off these little ends. Probably wasting it, but it's just how I do. And like I said, if you want more of a green onion taste, like a heavy green onion taste, you can chop up more. I'm just doing what I'm doing. And this whole pack of green onions is only 88 cents. So, and you have to use fresh, well, you don't have to, but it's best to use fresh green onions for this recipe. So my meat is done. I have a few little tiny pink spots, if you can tell. But when I add the other stuff, we're going to have to cook it down so it'll finish. But I'm going to go ahead and drain my grease. So if you have grease, this is the time you want to go ahead and do that. It's drained. I find that the best way to drain ground beef, and I'm going to show you, is putting a paper towel on a paper plate and layering it too, fold it over. Put your ground beef on and kind of spread it out, and the paper towel and plate catch the extra grease. Now you're gonna add in, turn it back on. I had turned it off to let it cool down a minute. You're gonna add your green onions and your 8 ounces of sour cream. So adding in my green onion that's chopped. And then I'm gonna add in my 8 ounces of sour cream. You can just buy an 8-ounce container. The Great Value has one. I'm hoping the Great Value is as good as the name brand. I've never had Great Value sour cream. It smells the same, and I'm not a fan of sour cream. So if you're scared of this recipe because you don't like sour cream, do not be. I do not like sour cream at all. And you can barely taste the sour cream in this recipe. I'm not a cream cheese or sour cream girl. Trying to get as much out as I can. So, pretty empty. I don't like using metal on non-stick pots, so I just did that to get it in there, and now I'm going to just kind of mix all of it together. And you're going to let it simmer for a little while and come down. I'm going to show you what it looks like in just a second once I can try and get it stirred up, because it kind of makes it stick together. But like I said, you're not really going to be able to taste, let me turn it up some more, this sour cream when it's done. Just want to get it really nice and coated. And it looks kind of nasty right now, but it is really good. I've been wanting to cook this for a few weeks now and just haven't had the time or felt well enough to do it. So when I had a little bit of energy today, I was like, I'm going to go ahead and cook this up for the week. That's what it's going to look like for right now. And you're going to let it simmer on 5 and let it cook, or whatever, just put it on high. Let it simmer, and it's going to cook down a little bit. While that's cooking down on the stove, you're going to take your pan. I just use avocado oil spray. You don't even have to spray the pan at all, but I prefer to spray it to keep everything from sticking. And this is just Great Value. It was like $2 or $3 at Walmart. And I have not noticed a difference between this and regular cooking oil. And this does not have a flavor, so if you're looking for a healthier version, this works really, really good. So, I'm going to let that simmer down, and we're going to go ahead and place our flour tortillas, a few of them to start. This usually makes about 8 to 10. Until it's trying to simmer down, you want it to kind of turn a little bit liquidy like it's doing. I'm going to let it do for about 4 to 5 more minutes. For me, it's about done, so you're going to go ahead and start putting your meat mixture on your flour tortillas. You don't want to put too much, because when you roll these out, the meat will sometimes fall out. So be very limiting of how much you put in these, depending on the size of your tortillas. Mine are kind of big. Like I said, it's going to make a good view. And tacos really aren't always that good heated up, but this type are amazing heated up for leftovers. If you're not a leftover person, this is definitely a good leftover meal. You're going to add your cheese, and normally when you roll these up to put them in the oven, once you add your cheese, you'll put a toothpick. I don't have any toothpicks, so we're just going to do it like this. And I have another bag. I'm just using Fiesta blend, but that's all I have. So I'm kind of rolling these up like this, you can see. I wish I had toothpicks, because this would make it a lot easier to get these to stick together, but it's okay. I'm going to put some cheese on top of this to try and get it to stay. I don't think that's going to make it stay, no. Because normally you put cheese on top. But what we're going to do is we're just going to put them in the oven like this, with the meat inside. I mean the cheese inside with the meat, and then we'll put the cheese on top once it's done, and then put it back in the oven to melt the cheese on top. So let me finish these. So what we're gonna do is, instead of putting the cheese on top until they melt, fold them over, and you're gonna place them upside down to get them to stay. That's kind of tacky, but you do what you gotta do. And my mom makes them longer, but I don't, she kind of just folds them over, but I'm just gonna do them like this. I'm gonna do one more to fit on this pan, and then I'll have to make some more probably. I'm gonna place this in the oven for 5 to 10 minutes on 350. This is not all. I'll probably make 2 more with the rest of the meats. But if you have smaller tortillas, you can definitely make like 10 of these. So now you kind of want to let them crunch up. So they're kind of starting to crunch up. Before they get fully crunched up, you want to, I guess since I had to flip them, if you had your toothpicks, you wouldn't have to flip them like this. You're just gonna put some cheese on top. I'm gonna just flip these and then do my cheese. It'd be a lot easier. Hold on. All right. So I'm just gonna flip these over. And these are just the 4 so far. I still have like 2 or 3 to do. I just didn't want to put too many on one pan, and I didn't want to dirty 2 pans. So I'm gonna put them back in the oven really quick. And my kitchen counter is a mess. All these bottles are clean though. So, gonna let those brown for a minute. There it is. Let's see if I can kind of show you the inside of one. These are amazing. If you have not tried this recipe, definitely do it. Bye guys.